Today we are going to be talking with serial entrepreneurs, power couple, I like to call them dynamic duo, Curtis and Codi Bills. They are the founders of the Rustic Daisy. It is a new wedding venue slash event center, immaculate, beautiful, and very large. Here just outside of Meridian, Idaho. Get you a preview there. Bam, we're gonna talk to them about the things they've learned in propping this new venture up, their world of entrepreneurialism, and so much more. You're gonna get a lot out of this. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Behind the Business on the Boise beat. Gordie Tamayo here, and I'm joined by two of my favorite people on the planet. I like to call them the dynamic duo, power couple, Curtis Bills, Codi Bills. How you guys doing?
Good. Thanks for being with us today.
Absolutely. Yeah, thanks for joining me.
You're the powerhouse. Yeah, and you're definitely our favorite.
Thank you.
I mean, in those pink shorts, come on.
I know. You can't see the pink shorts on camera. So.
You can't? Oh, you're looking good.
Hey guys, I appreciate you guys taking time with me today, especially on the heels of this phenomenal new venture that both of you guys are on, none other than the Rustic Daisy, right? And we're going to get into a little bit of what the Rustic Daisy is, kind of the purpose behind it and whatnot, but I really want to peek into the mind behind the Bills couple and really like what propelled you to this point. How you did what you did, and how others can kind of glean from that, if you would. So, Curtis, me and you go way back, right? We go back, I don't know, what is it, 15-ish years or so? I feel old.
A few years, yes, exactly.
A few years, yeah.
Yeah, but I also, it's not years, it's dances, it's parties, it's lessons learned, it's growing together, it's exploring a lot of things over those years, for sure.
Yeah, you know, and first of all, for the record, I want to honor you in front of everybody as well, because Curtis has been a phenomenal person, friend, mentor over the ages, not just for myself, but so many countless people. And so, thank you, Curtis. Appreciate
Gordie,
you.
come on. We all know, everybody out there, if you've not spent time with Gordie, he's the mastermind behind it all, and is phenomenal and deserves all of the credit.
Thanks, bro.
Yeah.
And
he's a phenomenal father and member, man of faith, and incredible. If you need inspiration, I don't even know where to look, but I'm looking at you.
Hey, this is about Curtis. This is about you.
I know. But if you need a little pickup, this guy right here. We used to meet at Denny's at night, but Denny's is shut down, right?
Yeah, they actually tore the place down.
Yeah. It kind of.
Or they're tearing it down.
That's a sad thing, but that's where a lot of our genius came from, huh? Well, Denny's.
Absolutely. And you guys, I consider you geniuses in what you do, because you're serial entrepreneurs, so I would consider you too. You guys always got something cooking, and you guys are going 1,000 miles an hour, and somehow, some way, you managed to pull it off. And that's a phenomenal feat, a phenomenal skill set, I would say. And so, Curtis, let me start off with you and just ask you, your background from corporate America, taking a leap from there because you were there for quite some time, and you decided to take the leap ultimately and start your own venture, the Rustic Daisy being one of those. But before I dive into that, talk to me about what the Rustic Daisy is.
Yeah, so the Rustic Daisy is Treasure Valley's premier venue, but it's a lot more to that to us, obviously, and we hope that the community can also get that same experience and feeling that it's a venue, it's a place we've put our heart and soul into, but it's really a spot for the community. It's a place, whether you're getting married, that's our main line of business, but it's really just a place to get together as a community. And so we see this as the spot in a lot of ways, and hopefully, get everybody out here to enjoy as a family. One of our first weddings, something incredible happened out on this lawn behind us. During the wedding ceremony, not at the ceremony itself, but just that night, kids were being kids out on the yard. Anything from playing Red Rover come over, to like standing there and slapping each other's hands and just doing all that old America stuff. And I started to see our dream head in the right direction of this is a place where families can get together, celebrating big milestones in their life like a wedding, but also just getting out and having a picnic and enjoying living in Idaho, and all the things that we enjoyed as a kid that might be in the shadows because of technology and everything else that's pulling families at this time.
Yeah. So Curtis, let me ask you about the jump from corporate America into entrepreneurialism, right? Well, you've been doing stuff on the side forever, but nonetheless, you took a pretty big jump from where you were at just a couple years ago into doing what you're doing now. Can you just unpack for me some of the lessons that you learned from that world and how you adapted that into this venture that you're currently doing?
Yeah, for sure. I had a good job. I got to work with you, with incredible people, and loved working in the corporate world. There's a lot of great things that we accomplished as a team, and honestly, I miss bits and pieces of it, mostly going in and working with the teams that we were able to work with and the creative opportunities that provided for us to do big things as a team. When I started to make the decision to say, okay, let's go do something different, I wanted to start being a little bit more uncomfortable. And I did that internally within the company to take on different roles and responsibilities, and again, had some incredible experiences and opportunities. But what I didn't like about it at times was living in what I would consider the spin zone, where sure, you're doing presentations and you're stressed and you're wanting to get, be successful, but when I started to look at what was actually happening, there's just a lot of meetings and things that were hard to find great satisfaction doing. Yes, I could get ready for a meeting and I could do great in a meeting, or I could suck, whatever, right? But then it would end. And there was nothing tangible that I could then go home and show my family to be like, oh, Dad had a good day, right? Or, and I started thinking 5 years down the road of saying, okay, what could I hand off to my kids, or maybe 5-10 years? What can I do to get them involved? And there was really not a clear path for me to say, okay, I'm going to be able to get you a job. We'll be able to work side by side, and we'll be able to build something together. So that concept of building something tangible as a family became more and more important to me, and doing it in a way that we weren't on somebody else's agenda. So my every day wasn't, what's the presentation for the day, or how could I spin this piece of data to make the person who's going to present look good, and then at the end of the day go, hey, that was a great day. But to be able to now be in this situation and have something where, yes, there's data, yes, there's success and failures, but it's more tangible. And as I put my thoughts together around why I would leave such an incredible team, an incredible job, to get to this point, that's where I feel like it at least comes into a little bit more clarity for me of why I would make such a big move. I don't know if you remember that, the spin zone. And so what, to me, is what I would summarize it up is, if I play it back, that's basically a lot of what we were doing, is how do we make ourselves look good, make others look good, and not necessarily say what people want to hear. No, not necessarily say what is the truth, but say what people want to hear. Yeah. To the point where you would say the truth or the facts and only be told, that's not in a positive light. Let's spin that. Yeah. Right. And I just got a little bit tired of that and wanted to go get some tangible things at the end of the day.
Yeah, I think anybody that's been involved in a 9-to-5 can attest to the challenges of having to meet the demands of somebody else. Yeah. And your expectations are really around what that person or organization wants, and you're not really given a mind to think for yourself. Yeah. And my son and I were just having a convo on the way here, actually, about the crypto space. We were talking about cryptocurrency and talking about jobs, etc. And the conversation came up, and he's only 10, but he asked some really good questions. And he asked one of the questions about how our current world encourages modern day employment as a form of slavery. And not everybody may agree with that point, and I'm not saying that everybody's in the wrong lane if they're working for a job, but nonetheless, I think we can all attest to that feeling of you're doing something that you're not supposed to be doing, or you're doing it for somebody else for the wrong reasons, and hence you can't really be yourself, right? And so it catches you in a weird place. But you guys have had the wonderful fortune of being able to jump out and have the guts, I would say, to take huge risks. And many people are not so risk averse, right? They're afraid to leap out. They're afraid to do even something small. And you guys continue to tackle big challenge after big challenge. And I find that super inspiring because not anybody's willing to take the hit. They're not willing to take the risk. And nothing good comes easy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, at all. Codi, you remind me of the proverbial big dreamer as well. One of your mantras that, I've known you for is this tagline, if you would, or catchphrase mantra of dreams before dishes. Unpack that, if you could, for me, what that means, how you developed that, and really how that applies to this current venture as well.
Yeah, dreams before dishes became my motto a few years back when I was trying to hit this big goal in my business and I was really stressed and I was letting these little excuses get into my head like, okay, that's too hard, I should just forget it. And then I was like, no, I can't let these little things get in my way. And I just hit the floor running. And so it became kind of like my reminder to not let the little things get in the way of my big dreams. And it's about prioritizing the important things and, just getting it done. Because if you really, really, really want to achieve something, you'll find a way to do it. And so that's just been my driving factor, dreams before dishes. And I'm not saying forget those little things, just come back to them and just prioritize those things that will help you achieve what you're working towards.
Yeah. So what would you say has been a catalyst to get you in that frame of mind? Because that's not something we easily do, right? We can say that I know I need to prioritize X, Y, Z, but many people are procrastinators, right? Or we let fear dominate us in taking that next step and taking that leap of faith that could very well be like your destiny. And we get short-circuited by these little things that are really small. But it's man, if you would just tackle it, if you would just do it, if you would just get the guts to overcome it,
right,
you'd be surprised how much resilience you have to it. So that's a loaded question, kind of, but what would you say has been a catalyst to get you in that frame of mind to say this is how you prioritize things in your life, especially when you're after a big goal?
Right. You mentioned fear. Well, we all have fear, but I use fear as a fuel. So I fear regrets. A lot of people fear failures, but I don't want to regret not trying anything.
Wow.
I don't want to live with any regrets because whether I fail or succeed, I can feel good about myself because I actually tried.
Yeah.
And so I try to use fear as a fuel because we all face fear, but I don't ever want to say, well, I shoulda, coulda, woulda. What if this happened? What if I, didn't do this? Or what if I did do this? Just going for it. Yeah. Just using that fear as a positive to push you.
Yeah. Wow, that's awesome. Yeah. Curtis, what's it like to work side by side with the visionary?
I wish I could answer that first question differently. Honestly, I just wanted to work with Codi and, all that time of effort of travel and working with incredible people. I didn't get to work side by side with my wife. And as you can see, she's incredible. If there's somebody that I should work for, it's her. Now, she would say I'm a bad employee.
We're partners. Yeah. Nobody works for...
And I should be doing the dishes when she's doing the dreams. But, we've just had so much fun when we put aside kind of other people's agendas and we just focus in on what we want to do and call them dreams or call them big bets or call them risk, whatever you want to do. We've been able to accomplish it, and she's a powerhouse. I refer to her as a superhuman. Any superhero that's out there, Codi can go toe to toe with. She's quiet a lot of times, but man, she brings it as she can see.
Absolutely. I want to ask another kind of curveball for you here. Speaking of, a married couple who's able to operate together in this space, that might be a dream for many to be able to do that, but it's easier said than done sometimes, right? What has been kind of a secret sauce, if you would, for you guys learning to work together? Granted, there's always going to be headbutting, I'm sure, especially when you got strong personalities, right? But nonetheless, what would you say is some wisdom for how to operate as a power couple?
Well, it's kind of
see.
the irony in a married couple building a wedding venue together. That's the true test of marriage and of partnership. A lot of patience is required. A lot of patience required with each other, you know, because we're both natural leaders, and we both want to take that lead role. And we, you know, have big ideas. It's like compromising and figuring it out together, and not killing each other at the end of the day.
Yeah, what comes to my mind is a little hole in the boat, I'll freak out and think we're sinking and fall apart and have an adult meltdown more than you ever see a kid have a meltdown. Codi, she's calm, persistent, resilient, and just keeps us moving forward, regardless of me fully crying, screaming, on the floor, pounding. And so I think that's a big part of it. And then just really an understanding, we probably need some counseling, but just really understanding that what's in the moment's not the most important thing. And Codi's taught me that more than anything. It's like, let's just keep moving. Don't fall apart. Let's just keep moving and moving forward. So those are a couple of things that come in mind. And then, you know, we've kind of always constantly shook things up too. We live in our house is I think our current house is our 11th home together.
Oh, wow.
So we've been on the move, and so we've forced ourselves in that situation of living as a family unit multiple times, where we have really close friends and family, but we're very close as a family unit.
Yeah. That's awesome.
We embrace change. We thrive on change. Our kids have become really resilient to that. But, you know, we love just trying to just create something that it'll bring our family closer together.
Yeah.
Just being okay with not being perfect, even though maybe the Facebook picture looks perfect, before and after the Facebook post, things are a lot of times a mess.
Sure.
And not harping on each other too much on it being a mess. And to me, it goes back to those dishes. You know, let your dishes stack up. Don't sit there and blame who should do what.
Yeah.
Just take things in stride.
And right now, it's how tall our weeds are at home.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Yeah. It's dreams before weeds.
Yeah. Here's the 4-yard work.
Point taken.
Yeah.
Point taken.
You know, one of the questions that I think anybody that's going to see some of the panoramic view of this place, because it's immaculate, it's gorgeous. You guys did phenomenal and working with people designing the place. And Curtis, I know you were out here with backhoe and everything else, getting this place, you know, broken down so you could build it up. What would you say is, give me some of the learning lessons, like the biggest learning lessons that you've taken away from taking a plot of land and taking a design and constructing it, and maybe a little bit of both practical sense, but also, you know, something else maybe internally that might have hit home.
Yeah, we're in an interesting place. First, Codi's story is worth looking into, because Codi's resilience and a relentless pursuit of having her own career and her own success has really helped me make a transition like this. And yet she's able to continue to be a phenomenal mom and a mama bear and all those kinds of things that are required of her. But it's allowed me to do a pretty big shift and go from my Monday worries used to be, am I going to get first class on an airplane? You know, watching and waking up thinking that was like the number one priority, was whether or not I was going to get upgraded for free. To now I'm in the trenches, covered in dirt. I've got some pictures I've taken of just how dirty I've gotten through all this whole thing, right? And just having the supporting spouse to say she's going to help us, you know, pay rent during this transition is a big part of that. But I've also learned that the saying around start small, dream big doesn't have to be. We started pretty big on a big dream. And, you know, there's ways to structurally set yourself up with loans and the bank and all these kinds of things to help you get this where you don't have to start so small always, where you end up down rabbit trails that go nowhere. You can, I've learned that you can go big. And there's a lot of supporting things that happen, even like to the point of the backhoe. You can rent whatever. You don't have to be a trained operator. It sounds crazy.
It's a little risky.
It's risky. There's a lot of times I walk home and I'm like, babe, almost last day, almost saw my life. But you can go bigger than you think, and you don't have to start so small all the time.
Yeah. Speaking of limitations, right? I think that's a perfect question for you, Cody. I mean, I see you as like this phenomenal mom, wife, business owner, coach, right? I mean, all these things that you are. Like, talk to me about that mentality again. I want to keep cracking into the mind of Cody. 'Cause I think he has so much like wisdom that you can impart to people. But this arena of breaking beyond your own limitations of what you're capable of. Curtis just gave a practical example of like, hey, finding the resources for it, knowing what the approach is to how to get, around something you didn't know existed. But, how have you been able to break beyond these limitations of people saying, oh, you just got to be a mom who does this. You got to be a career woman who doesn't break past this particular barrier because you just keep hitting home runs. You keep getting on base. Like, what was it that really did a transformational shift for you to say, hey, let's keep going for these next levels? One of the things I seen recently on your website, which was these bucket lists. You had bucket lists of things that you've done. Mm-hmm. I think one of them was like try out for American Idol or one of the Voice or something, right? And it was like done. And then the next one is like not yet, but not yet. Yeah, and I could totally see those things as, hey, they're not just things that she's putting on there. Those are things that time just hasn't expired for it to arrive yet. And I see that as something that you are continually like chasing after, like what's the next ceiling that I gotta bust through? How did you get that?
Well, it's really my kids that are my motivation, I guess, because being a mom is an amazing privilege and honor, and it's my driving force for everything. With that said, being a mom is not the end all be all. You can be a mom and still have it all, because I think it's important for women to have that space that pushes you, that challenges you, all while you're being a mom, because you can incorporate your kids and your family structure around it. It's about prioritizing, but it's also prioritizing your happiness, using your talents, developing new talents, helping others, and just going for what you want. Like, again, my motto, dreams before dishes, you can't let the little things get in your way. And it's not easy, but you can do it. You can be a mom, you can be there for them, but you can also go after for what you want. And it just takes a little bit of balancing, trial and error. I mean, things don't go smoothly all the time. It's hard. It takes a lot of hard work, but there's power in staying busy. In fact, the most successful women are the busiest women. It's when you become idle is when the depression creeps in. It's when the self-worth leaves and you start questioning, what's my purpose? What am I doing? So just finding those things to stay busy while not sacrificing the time with your family is what really drives you to do what you want to do and what you want to contribute to the world.
I would jump in and add maybe two things. One, I think Cody's done a great job on showing me you can't look at work or commitment by hourly wage or something, right? So you're looking and say, oh, that took, if you calculated all your time, that would only be 5 cents an hour, right? And so then you, as a spouse, jump in and say, that's nuts. What are you doing? That, and you apply your kind of like that ego in your mind of like, well, what are you doing to start your own business, or what are you doing to pursue this? And you start shooting down, and it's places I've been before. I'm not saying I'm not perfect there, but if you start to rationalize that, hey, what you're going after equates to like $4 an hour, what are you doing, right? But if you look at a big picture and say, okay, let's build this together, and you're more worried about the dream, then who cares about how much it costs? if you're working together, because then it is family time, right? Our boys, as you know, I mean, you've helped our boys in a lot of different things and helped them on their own personal journeys. We feel a part of their journey. So call it parenting, call it, building a business, all of us together, I think help pull that off as well, all those demands.
Well, talk to me about the architecture of the Rustic Daisy and some of the amenities. We got to get into that, because if anybody's listening to this, just hearing the conversation of the minds behind the venue, I think that's enough to come and check it out personally. But they're going to check out photos, they're going to see some video footage of this place. But talk to me about some of the amenities that make this such a wonderful place for somebody to utilize, whether it's for a wedding, a corporate event, private party, photography, etc.
Yeah, well, a lot of people, it seems to be like the thing to be married in, like a barn, in a country setting, in a farm. And so when we saw this property that was for sale, we've been wanting to invest in land, and then we came up with the idea, well, let's do a wedding venue in this area, because there isn't anything in this area. You have to drive pretty far to get to that. And so I'm like, hey, let's make it rustic, but also very feminine and beautiful, so it kind of like touches all areas. We've got, hard, soft elements, and just masculine, feminine, just kind of all together. And, we had really a lot of fun picking out all these different elements. I mean, we have beautiful lighting, kind of rustic beams, and, farm wood trim. I mean, there's just a mix of all of that. And we just thought it would just be really fun to provide something like this in our area.
Yeah. Talk to me about some of the favorite elements that are in the spot. I could pick a couple that I know that you're going to say.
Yeah. We started out, we found this place on a tipped over sign in the farm field.
Really?
Going from our house to a basketball facility to take our kids to a basketball tournament. And I just had that feeling of, I got to stop. Is that a for sale sign? What's happening here? And I started to call and make the connections. And sure enough, it was for sale. And there was a developer that was coming after it. And our neighbor, who's phenomenal, would prefer to do something different besides development. And so started conversations and say, hey, we want to do a wedding venue. Actually, at that time, we didn't even know.
No,
we wanted the barn. We wanted just to do some investment in land. And then we started to see the charm. And when I say charm, I'm from eastern Idaho, where most farms come with outbuildings that are not necessarily standing tall. They're kind of tired in their appearance. And all of it was here. You have a tin barn, you have out structures, you even have a truck that there's a tree growing through it.
Old farm
that
equipment.
People ask me of, like, did you weld that thing around? First, I don't weld. Second, no, the tree grew right through the hood. And as we started to look at this to say, hey, we want to share this with our family, with the community, maybe let's do a wedding barn. And so we tried to do it in the old barn, but structurally it's not there. And so we just decided to go full throttle.
As a word of final encouragement to any listeners that are out there, can you guys give me a word of inspiration for the person who's maybe hitting a brick wall in their entrepreneurial journey, or maybe somebody that's in a 9-to-5 currently and stuck right now, and they're just like, man, this sucks. I wish I can go out there and actually chase the dream that I always had in my heart to do, but they're unable to pull the trigger on it for some reason or another. Give me a final word of inspiration or wisdom, if you could, both of you.
Yeah.
And so 2 words, resources and sacrifice. So chances are there's somebody out there that has done what you want to do. And so go out and research what they've done, what they haven't done. Look for resources. There's always many, many tools and things that you can draw upon to help you, accomplish what you want to do. And then also sacrifice. It's going to take a lot of sacrifice of time, of money, but without that sacrifice, you can't have the rewards. So, just research, get help from people that know what they're doing, and, be prepared to sacrifice some time.
Don't get stuck. You're in your current everyday, and if there's something you want to do different, don't be okay being that truck stuck out in the field in your own career when you're sitting there and you're just spinning your tires and you're thinking you're getting somewhere. Just take a risk, get your family involved, and look at it as more than just, hey, I want to go make more money. Look at it as a way to get closer to your spouse, pull your family together, maybe solve some long-term family problems, and get started. It's difficult, it's not easy, but getting started's the fun part, and letting those around you kind of rally you. I'll paraphrase my brother in some advice that he's given me a ton of, but in this space especially, is even just like renting equipment, or whether it's digging out ponds or restoring a building or whatever it is that I've never done before, who you're going to hire might be in the same situation. They might not have ever done it themselves, but they've just taken that chance to get started, and they're going to use your project to do it for the first time. So you might as well do it yourself. And I think that can apply to a lot of different spaces. And then to chase that pursuit of what I think is easy to say on stage in our corporate world is if you enjoy doing what you're doing, it feels like you've never worked a day in your life, right? I used to hear that all the time, but yet we're all doing jobs that were agendas of other people, and convincing ourselves that, yeah, this is kind of exactly what I want to do in life. Why not start what you want to do in life and put that your time and effort? And yes, I'm not saying leave your job. That's not what I'm saying at all. But leave at the right time when you've got things ready for you to take your start. So with that, Gordie, it's awesome. Thank you for taking the time, and would do anything for you.
Thanks, brother. Awesome. Make sure you check out the Rustic Daisy at, what's the address again?
6381 West Amity Road, just outside of Meridian in Ada County. So it's important. That's why we picked this location. We got excited about it, is we're just 3 miles off of the exit of 10 Mile in the freeway in Ada County.
Thanks. All right, appreciate it. Idaho's premier event and wedding venue, Rustic Daisy. Check it out.